Hey, Dread Central readers. I am here today with Natalie Victoria, and we are here to discuss her role in the new feature film Malum, which is hitting theaters March 31st. Thank you so much for joining me today, Natalie.
Thank you for having me, Tyler. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you as well. So can you tell me a little bit about your initial reaction to the idea of remaking, excuse me, Last Shift? When I read the news, I was a little bit shocked because I think that Last Shift is about as close to perfect as you can get with a horror movie. And, why mess with perfection? But at the same time, after seeing it, I realized that there's more story to tell. But I'd just love to get your perspective on your initial thoughts and what you kind of thought of the finished product.
Yeah, I haven't seen the finished product yet, so I don't get to see it until next week. So I'm a little nervous. But people are that have seen it are saying good things, so it's encouraging. But yeah, you nailed it. There's more story to tell. You wouldn't think that you would, reimagine your own film, especially only, less than 10 years ago. So it was kind of like, wow, really? And I had the same reaction, and I was like, okay. And then, Anthony had, put Marigold in it again and was like, okay, I'd like you to read for this, go through the audition process, and I'm like, and half the work is the writing. And this scene was completely reimagined. The character was reimagined. And I think initially you get, those feelings of, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Um, because it's, it takes this role that was great in the first one and then just takes it here. And so there was a little bit of that there, the little self-doubt of artists that creeps in, but I got over that. And being part of a reimagining is a unique experience. I don't think I'll probably ever have that experience again as an artist. And I had all the same reactions that you initially did, but then seeing the vision with the script and what Anthony was thinking really calmed me and said, okay, Natalie, it's time to get to work. Let's focus on trying to give the fans something new with this character. And, my personal goal was that I had hoped that, anyone who had seen Last Shift before that watched this movie would not even recognize that it's the same actor playing the role of Marigold. I mean, that was my goal, right? To try to bring something new. So I definitely know Anthony brought something big with that, and the other actors and cast, and Jess Sula's amazing in the film. They all brought that, and it's really cool to kind of see the story open up, and I think for Marigold specifically, we were able to bring more danger elements for Officer Lauren, a little bit more of an unhinged factor, so to speak. And that really just kind of gives that extra push to this like ride that just takes off and keeps going till the end with her. And it was fun to kind of be that like initial, to kind of move things going on. It was a cool character to play again. So
Certainly. So with the Marigold character, I felt like she seemed more empowered in Malum as compared to Last Shift. Was that a deliberate update? I mean, I know there were many different nuances between the characters, but it felt like she was much more in control. And I'm curious, if that was intentional in a kind of sex positive, forward thinking kind of way.
yes, I think it was, and you really nailed it, Tyler. I think we've come a long way in the last couple of years in society and culture, speaking. And it just felt like it was more appropriate to, even though she's coming from, a dark place in culture and in life, it didn't make her any less of a person. And so we wanted to kind of give her the strength and dignity to some respects, that she deserved, in a different way than the first film. And the first film was much more vulnerable. And in this, we just really wanted to kind of bring that woman's strength a little bit forward more. And then, of course, amp up the danger because you really don't know where she stands.
I love that, and I think that I'm glad to hear that what I thought I was picking up on yeah, I was really seeing, because I thought that was a really neat stroke, not really a stroke, but I thought that was a really neat differentiation, evolution, and I thought that it played really well, especially to someone who is a big fan of the previous film and can kind of see how the character is sort of evolved. I thought that was, bravo.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, I
Of
mean that was the goal. We wanted to, bring something that a little bit more relevant with a little bit more underneath it. And I'm glad you picked up on it. And I certainly hope all the women out there that are horror fans that hopefully come see it can feel that too.
Awesome. I think there's always room for more sex positivity in the world and less stigmatization of sex work. So, I think that's fantastic. Um, my last question for you, Natalie, would just be, can you talk to me a little bit more about the nuance between your character in Last Shift versus Malum? And it's not all nuance, of course, as you've kind of mentioned, she's almost unrecognizable. She talks different, her mannerisms are different. She's almost not the same character, but can you talk a little bit about how you went about, maybe even beyond how she was scripted, kind of making her different, making her your own, but still Maribel?
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with tonality. The voice is one. As I mentioned in the first, I think she's a little bit more vulnerable, and so there's kind of a tonality as an artist, that kind of gives that. Marigold feels a little more uncertain of herself and almost like she's running. And so in Malum, we wanted her to be more certain of her life, more in control, and more of a, unhinged kind of loose cannon where you don't really know if she's okay or she's not okay. But she's in control all the way, and you kind of see that with that kind of strength underneath her. You're not really sure, she makes, alludes to some stuff, when she's talking to Officer Lauren, that she could be doing some other stuff too on the side. I don't want to give any spoilers away for the movie, but in addition to, sex work, she might be doing some other kind of
Sanitation.
vigilante work. I'm so sorry. Like she's just, very interesting. And so I think, yes, the nuance is a great word. I look at acting a lot like music, that it's like a symphony and there's different notes. And so for me personally, it was about putting extra notes and more harmonies through her, to really reimagine that, so that the fans were getting something new in the story. But more importantly, that like her character was really giving that danger that was needed for Jessica Lauren's character, Jasula, to really kind of put her on edge and, fill out that space, giving the information that's needed to kind of move the story along, but also putting all these like, emotional roller coasters for that character, just all over the place, not really sure what's happening. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot of stuff happening in there. So it was finding the right notes and the nuances, to give that. And I think that we were able to amp up the danger and change the tonality, of the voice. And the emotions obviously are a roller coaster in such a short amount of time. So that was very challenging. But I love a challenge, based on all the roles I've taken and opportunities. And I'm so grateful for all of them. But I do like to push myself as an actor for sure. So this was a great opportunity to do that. I'm really grateful that I was able to actually, reimagine Marigold again in the bigger scope of this reimagining of Malum. Anthony, I just think did an amazing job, because I too was skeptical when I heard he was redoing this. I was like, what? But wow, and just a really great cast, every single role. And of course, the lead is amazing. Jess is just phenomenal. I think fans are going to fall in love with her.
I agree. I think you all killed it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Natalie. It's been a true pleasure.